All right. Again, I don't know when I'm live here, guys. So bear with me. If you're out there, let me know if you can hear me. Much appreciated. I think it just popped on. It's kind of weird how it doesn't tell me when I'm technically live because I start out live. So yeah. Bird. Someday we're gonna touch base and me and you are gonna have a Zoom call together. It's cool. Sometime soon, man. Seriously, you need to reach out. I need to look you up. I got time off there. So everything good? You can hear me again. Tried doing some earbuds and it wouldn't connect for me. So I don't know if I'm out there or not. So give it some time. Kind of hoping we get a few people on here. So all right. Again, this whole talking to myself for an hour and a half is it's hard for me to do. So feedback is always good, so I know what's going on and getting some good information from you guys. Um, Again, for some of you guys that haven't hopped on one of my lives in the last few months, we usually do this. I kind of just go through question and answers like this today being the day after Thanksgiving. Shoot, it's pre after Christmas. Tell you where I've been. I've been on vacation. That's what I've been doing. So, but no, we just kind of go through. I'm sure a lot of people hopefully got these lasers for Christmas. So we'll go and go through kind of a little bit of everything, from settings to we'll walk right through XCS, even the setting sides for both the lasers and the stuff. Myself, I have an S1 20 watt, a P2, a P2S, an F1 Ultra. I do own an F1. It's out on loan to a friend. And then we have a D1, which is what I started with. So I'm gonna try not to look down on my screen. I'm trying to look forward in the camera. It's hard for me. So, but no, yeah, like I said, guys, just if you got questions, we're gonna come back to them. I'm gonna run through the kind of the gist of the screen, how everything works, kind of maybe point out some things different between each laser. Because again, I did spread this out to everybody. I think next year I'm gonna try to do more focused on S1 live, a P2 live, an F1 live. So I do not own the M1 series, so I will not be doing an M1 live series. I have a friend that does have one, so maybe I can convince them to do it. We'll see. Maybe we'll hop on and help her out or something. You never know. So again, I'll stop and pause every once in a while because I read, because like I said, I do this by myself. So I got nobody else helping me out. So bear with me, guys. So I try to do my best to answer questions and make sure everybody's getting what they want out of it. And hopefully, like I said, giving me feedback is always a good thing. So we'll give it a little bit longer. Tracy, I'm gonna call you out right now, man. Did you update yet? Right off the bat, buddy. So again, I'm a big advocate of updating. When you guys update, I'm again big advocate. Don't put more than one version of XCS on your computer. Save the old ones. Don't get me wrong, and go back, but don't have two of the same ones. Overwrite the one that's in there. It's where a lot of people I think have issues with these updates. I've been one of the lucky ones, I guess. I've not had issues. I had a small issue with the S1, but that was because I was in the beta test. So I was able to be lucky to be one of those beta testers. So we had a little bit of an issue with when that first came out, but so and yeah, guys, that'd be awesome. If you can put down, kind of see what people have, that's awesome too. I always like to know what everybody else has got out there. See what we're kind of putting some stuff out there for everybody. So my background, I've been doing this for 2 years. I got a little bit of background again for people that haven't hopped in any of my lives. been doing xTool for 2 years. xTool was my first laser. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm biased. I guess I am. They've done well. I've grown with them from back on LaserBox from some of the older people to understand what LaserBox is. That was a horrendous software. It definitely pushed a lot of people over to Lightburn. I'm not gonna lie, but I am a very big advocate for XCS. I love XCS. I love what it changes. I love what it's doing. So it's just the way it is. Someday, Tracy, someday. But yeah, there's gonna give me a few guys that have been in here on a lot of my lives. So, and then I also am a demo room host. So if there's anybody looking to do upgrade, want to do something else, grab something else, hit me up. We can do a one-on-one. I can talk you through whatever. Like I said, I have all of them but the M1 series. If you wanted some information on M1, again, I know some people that have them, so I can get you in touch with the right people also. So also, if you're looking into the notes of the links, there are some people that I do like to represent, some local things here in Michigan, me for being from Michigan. East side, if you got if you're looking for geez, my brain's gone blank, guys. If you're looking for supplies and stuff, Great Lakes Laser Supply, hey, they have a lot of good stuff. RZ Acrylics is really good. And then Creative, be bad. Creative Supplies. So if you're looking for that kind of stuff, it's just one more options, guys. There's more options to look for. We're always looking for different things to supply people with. So, and they're no affiliates. I have no affiliates with none of these people. They're just friends. Like I said, to help me in this business. So that's why I do this kind of stuff to help people out. So we just rock this out and pick people's brains and go from there. So we're gonna hop into XCS here real quick. Catch me looking down a lot now because moving my screen. All right, let's go and share. Share. Oh, so that's great. Sorry, I gotta creep over here to make sure I can creep over on the YouTube, make sure y'all can still see me and everything. So, but XCS, again, I love the software. I really think they've changed it, a lot since LaserBox. That's my opinion. I've started with them when they were that. I've tried Lightburn. I'm big on photos. I didn't care for the way Lightburn was doing photos. I know other people have different opinions on that. Someday I might get over to Lightburn. I don't know. Right now, XCS will do what I need to do, and they've completely, they're updating all the time. So that's what I love about XCS and xTool. They're always being updating stuff. So, all right, XCS. Go back to the home screen so you guys can see. So this is basically your home screen. I'm kind of going to walk through a little bit of everything. Obviously, these are programs I've been working on, batching out for the Christmas season, stuff we're working on. So your old stuff, any news that's coming through XCS, that is here. So there'll be all kinds of stuff there. This is where when you're starting out, for people that are new to lasering, these files here are free. I know they'll be, not all of them are, but most of them are free where you can just download them. It'll tell you settings, tells you how to do stuff. It's a good starting point. That's what's nice about this stuff. There's a good starting point in all this stuff. You do see there are some prime projects that are to pay. So I'm not saying don't buy them here, but if there's prime, there is also people that are on Etsy that probably sell the same file. Are they the same people? I don't know. So that's where I love xTool, but I mean, these are what they are. Use them what you need them for. So they do have them to different lasers. Obviously, you can still pull these up into any other laser. You don't have to. These are just what the project was designed for. So those settings are going to be for that laser. Can you bring in any laser? Yes, you can. So that's what this section is for. You will want to log in. So this login here for engraving, obviously this is where you're going to have your points. Same login you would use when you bought the laser. That's what this login is. E2 Laser Engraving. That is my company that I have for laser engraving. So I do this. I do laser engraving on the side also. Still a full-time job, fortunately. But I do love my job, so it's hard for me to quit and do lasering full time. So I kind of do a little bit of this all together. So working down, obviously, home screen, MySpace. This is where you would have. They do only have 10, and you can pull and push them across. This is where if you have it on a tablet, you can send it to a tablet. If you worked on a tablet, you can actually upload it to your MySpace, and this is where it'll show up. So it's just going back and forth. It's upload to computer, and I think this is the same thing on your tablet or your phone, or it goes the other way. You have to upload it up to the MySpace area, then it'll show up here. So that's what this is. I think you can get 10 free, then you can actually add additional. I'll let you guys look into that. Just click on here and they'll tell you how to get more. The Design Find is like the bigger version of, I'm gonna call it their Etsy almost. So again, there's paid and not paid stuff. It's just a bigger, more elaborate. So you can really find it. Again, you can go in there, you can create stuff. If this is where you want to help the community, stuff you make, you can put it out there for people too. So that's what Design Find is for. So it's a little bit to give back. And again, to get out of this stuff, it's just the X up out here on top to get out of it. If I'm missing questions, guys, I'm sorry because I'm just gonna kind of roll with it right now. But please, like I said, add the questions. We'll hop back. There's a couple of questions that people asked on the Facebook pages that I posted reminders today, so we'll probably touch some of those later. So now back into XCS. Obviously, you can see I have my P2, my P2S. They're all connected. You can have I can have up to 6 lasers connected. You can have 2 of the same. Some things we'll go over later. So that's another nice thing about XCS is I can have multiple lasers connected at one time by Wi-Fi. I'm all Wi-Fi. I know this is one thing that Lightburn can't do is you can't be on Wi-Fi. You all gotta be hardwire connect. And you can have one hardwired and then the rest need to be Wi-Fi. I don't think you can have multiple on USB. So just to let people know if they're having issues connecting, I've not been able to connect 2 as USB at once. So Wi-Fi is definitely the way to go. I like it. It helps me out because I got stuff spread out throughout my shop. So we're gonna start kind of in the S1 realm. It seems like a lot of people are in here. It looks like there's a lot of S1s. So we'll kind of stay there. We'll dive into some of the other ones too. Obviously, this S settings, we're gonna kind of work ourselves right down. Basic stuff, your new projects. Have you been able to connect 2? Because I tried the other day and I couldn't get 2 of them to connect, Jacob. So that's interesting. And it could be the way I have my laptop and ports and all that stuff worked out. So it's one of those things. I had some issues with some internet stuff and I was trying to do too, and it just didn't want to cooperate. So I wasn't going to push it. So new projects, open a project. So anything that's an XCS file, that's this new project. Obviously, opening a new tab. Biggest thing people will always do is click on new when you really want to open a project. You'll get a bunch of extra tabs up here, and they'll tell you you'll limit to 6. So after 6, it's say, hey, you gotta delete one. That's what this is for. Yeah, we'll touch back on that, Jay, because I think I tried doing my S1 and my F1, and I couldn't get them both connected. But again, that was one of my hurry up, my live was starting kind of thing. So that's probably why I was in a rush. So import image. So this is any SVG file. And there's another spot we'll show you where you can do that for. PNG, JPEG, DXF. That's where the import image is from. So that's this one. Obviously, close, save as. Again, a lot of people, especially new into this stuff, make sure you know where you save stuff at. That's why the save is really critical. Go back, see where you're saving it. And then obviously you want to rename a file. You can actually rename it up here. You can rename it here. And then export as SVG is handy. Not as much as it used to be, but it used to be out that the export as an SVG to bring it into another file. Now you can actually just cut and paste between files, which is nice. So you don't have to do all that stuff. Go back. So we're gonna go through the settings real quick. If people are looking to change from millimeters to inches, this is where you do it. Also, they have the hotkey Control K. So that is, I use this quite a bit. I kind of go back and forth. It is proven, unfortunately. I'm not a big millimeters fan. If you want something that's holding to a tighter tolerance, millimeters will get you closer. Won't kind of do that float in between. I still run inches 95% of the time. So obviously English, when I'm running auto snap, we'll kind of go through that a little bit on here. Again, another one that's got they finally put a hotkey to it, Control R. I do like having these both checked. It helps. So the precision vector path, it just helps you select your images. If you don't have this, if you're trying to hover over that line, it doesn't like grab it right. Same thing with this. Fill. Hotkeys. If you want a full list of all the hotkeys, I'll go over a few of them. But if you want to see the full list, click on this under your settings, and you guys can go through your full settings. The vector quality, I keep mine at high. If you have something that's like really high number of entities, you might want to go in here and change this if it's kind of dogging your computer down. Bring it down a little bit or bring it to optimal, and it'll make it right. So that's something you guys can play with if you're having issues with some graphics. So file settings, I'm going to die on this one. Just keep it its size. I recommend this one all day long because people will bring stuff in. This is at auto scale. I did that once and I couldn't get to turn off. Now it does. That was back before when we just went over to XCS. And so when you bring in boxes, stuff with like, the slots and to put stuff together, it will definitely mess that stuff up. So that's why I always keep it size. Now that we can blow stuff apart and do that kind of stuff, it's easier just to keep it size, make it fit the work area, and go from there. Again, DXF parsing. If you're bringing a bunch of DXF files, I do recommend turning this on. If you're not doing DXF files, you don't need it on. So this is just what this does is it closes up the gaps because a lot of DXF files don't have like sharp corners. It looks like they are, but they could be just line. This will close them off and make it one continuous shape. Is what that helps do. This is another one that we can kind of go over a little bit later, but you have settings. This helps do a backup. So if you end up losing them, save them, export them out. There's another new thing that's in 2.3, which again, another reason why I recommend updating that will help with this also. But export these out, and then you can actually import them back in. If you do update, because I know people said they've had this issue, I've been lucky once again. I have not had that issue where I've lost my settings. So obviously development mode is not something that needs, only if you're ever an issue with something deeper in the system. Usually customer help will might have you hop into this kind of stuff. I know people say don't download these. I've seen less issues when you do download these. This RDSN, I have seen this help out on Mac sides. If this is downloaded, it helps with the USB issues. So again, I've helped a couple people, and that was one of the things. They didn't have it installed. They installed it. Then again, you gotta have a way to unzip a file, which is again a Mac thing. I'm not a Mac guy, so it's one of those things. Obviously your updates, and then this update package algorithm. Again, this is not one that kind of pops up all the time. I do recommend downloading it, especially if you have an S1 or a P2. That's what these ones are for, or P2S. There's a setting in there that I'll show you guys later that actually makes things engrave faster. So just make sure your laser is on a very sturdy surface because it will shuck the machine back and forth a little bit. So, and obviously you're about. So that's kind of the gist of the settings, kind of my thing go through. Kind of gonna walk through. Obviously, you got save, your back button, Control Z. So it's Control Z. Those two, obviously, best friends. Don't worry about it. If you make a mistake, just hit undo. canvas, you can have up to 10 canvases. Again, this is more whatever you really want to use it for. Only time I really use this is if I have show files. I have a bunch of different show things that I do out of shows, and that way that they're all in there. So that's one of those things. I do my maps in those too. But other than that, it's just kind of the problem with putting it in a multiple canvas is you can't search by that canvas. It's still under the job title. So just know where you put stuff because my wife's got like 100 and some odd earrings and I search for them all the time. One of these days we'll figure out where they're all at. So, but no, canvases are handy. So you just add them, hit the plus button, add another one, and they're all different canvases. They all do start up different, fresh, I should say. So again, there's some other things I'm gonna show later on that you have to, every time you add a canvas or start a file, you have to make an adjustment to some settings to make things work faster if you like them to. Obviously, process base plate. This is another one that's been a lot of topic lately because they have changed up for some of the older people, older that started longer ago. It used to be called open plane. And even in this one, it's different because so you got base plate, curved. Yeah, because you really can't do a lower one in this one. You can't do like an open plane. So in this one, just thought about that. Alrighty, Tracy. You're gonna love it. So obviously, rotary rollers, highly recommend you don't use the rollers. If you can use the rotary, use the rotary. Repeatability is 10 times better. If you need help doing the chuck, putting it together, I might throw a video together here later. If not, I know there's people on there. I know there's some questions. I've helped a couple people help put them together. So it's one of those things. You can reach out to me. It's not difficult. It's not scary. I do recommend getting the accessory that helps. And there's multiple ones out there. xTool has one. I know there's at least two other ones that people make them 3D printing them. I do recommend getting the ones that a tip the adjustments because if not, you got to actually just build up a blocking. So that's what that's for. Curved feature S1. It's very limited a little bit. I want to say just because it's the pin style, you can't have a steep edge when you do this stuff, and then you really got to have it in a square pattern, and you can't have. I don't word this again. It can't be steep, so it's got to have something to base itself. Because I've seen people build up a box around it, so to have a box, and then you can kind of do the whole thing and go beyond the box. It's just it's getting that boundaries. So if you have something that's round like a plate, I know when somebody asked that over Christmas, I want to be able to engrave a plate. Well, you really can't because you can't engrave it round. It won't always do it in a square when you do the curve pattern. So it's just one of those things where it's then you got to find that happy medium between your distance too low, too high. Again, it's doable, but it's definitely the softer, sweepier curves is better. Uh, so this is all you have for the S1. Again, we'll kind of run through some of these other ones because there's some different ones I want to talk about. This is all your different modes. 95% of the time, you're going to be on base plate in the S1 series. So what that is, we're running over here. If you do have the camera, and again, you got to have the little magnets. So it's in the 15-degree realm. It's not very steep. I mean, it's you can't have a real steep angle. I mean, if it's long and swoopy, you can get away with it. But again, with the S1, because it's hitting it with a pin, it definitely can divert sometimes. So that's where you get too steep, it starts to divert and it doesn't. It's very sensitive, but it will push off. So just to let you guys know, you can get away with a little bit steeper on the P2 because you are using a laser. So that way you can get away with a little bit. Again, it's still supposed to be in the 15 degrees, but it's not as critical, I should say. But again, this one here is if you have the app on your phone, you can make it take a camera picture. You got to have the little markers. You get those from xTool. I don't use it just because I have other means. I like the point system, which is what this one here is your marking point system. So if you want to, Connect the laser. Guess we're gonna walk through there real quick. We'll do that in a second. So obviously, real quick, I'm gonna show you how to we will show that here in a second. We'll go back to that. I just realized my laser's not connected. So whenever this is not green over here, guys, it means your laser's not connected. Even though you see it up here, it says it's there, it's not connected. It needs to be green. So I am a big advocate. I always go to connect device. Again, all my stuff's on Wi-Fi. So this is everything. That one's not green. Only one that didn't connect. Just click on it. And normally auto connects. So once you click on it, it just goes and then it'll connect. Again, I have seen some people have some issues with the new update for some reason. I don't know if it's a network thing or not. So it's hard to say. I've never had issues on my PC. Just saying. So, but that's what this feature is. So we'll show the other stuff here in a second. And that's how you connect. This is where the connect device. And sometimes you'll have like I haven't connected my D1. These will all be in here so you can actually connect and draw in those things because you can be on and not connected. You just won't have those settings for the laser, which we'll go over here in a second. So you can have all this stuff and draw on it, making it. Again, I don't know why it's giving me this F1 Baby Yoda. That's my little F1. So why I have two of them, I don't know. Sometimes you'll get that to pop up that way. I can't explain that one. So, but now that it's connected, I'm gonna go to marking. See, I thought I wanted the other way first. I'm just gonna throw a distance in here. So that is one of the other things, and that's probably why I didn't actually show here. There should be more. Because that's always on the base plate. That's right. Never mind. Getting my lasers confused. That would be always off base plate. So that's always a measurement. It's never material thickness. It's not what you're doing. You're doing a measurement from I want to say it's the bottom of the laser module to the bed. And somebody on there can tell me if I'm wrong. Pretty sure that's where it's from. It's either the bottom laser or the top laser. I can't remember which one it's from. So that's what this number is coming from. So, and then you get a 2.5 inch travel. So as the F1, I would still preheat the IR on the F1s, Tracy. Just the Ultra you don't have to, but the F1 the regular F1 you do. So marking area, this is actually really handy. This is where, like I said, I don't use the camera feature because I really like the marking area. So in a sense, you put a piece of board in there, you hit rectangle, start marking, just move it. I just move it by hand. I mean, just open it up. I don't have a board in here right now. Put something in here. I got something. What do I do? Let's do something. That'd be difficult. So wherever your crosshairs is at, it's already gave it a point, but so crosshairs, all you do, hit the button. Can't see me hit the button. Opposite corner. Hit the button. It draws the box. So that's my working area. Say, hey, if there's a circle that's already been removed out of there, I can go in here and say, hey, there's a circle. I can go back in there in that same one, pick 3 points on that circle. And now I know in that area, that's a void in my mind. Stay away from that area. Don't put nothing in there. And then also you can add as many as you want. A polygon. So a polygon is continuous shape. You just keep going until you stop. It'll just keep going. It does make point to point, so it doesn't make a slight curve or nothing like that. So there are straight lines, but it's a handy tool because when you're done, that's my work area. That's what I gotta stay within. That's where my images, big as my image is, it's where I gotta be. That's the nice thing about this. It's done. I mean, that's what it is. I don't need to put a picture up there. I don't need a camera. If I stay within there, then I know, as long as my laser pointer. And that's something that I know somebody else brought up. ask that question. 0000 is the upper left-hand corner of your laser. And this is on the P2 and the S1. Should be on all of them. All of them are upper left-hand corner is 00, which is this in relationship to this. So your X and your Y is relationship to this corner on your feature is what I'm gonna call them. So anything that's a box, anything that's got a box around it that's got the tags on it like this, that's a feature. It's gonna grab X, Y, Z from 00 to this corner is that number. That's where again we're hoping this next update they come out with, there's gonna be some dimensional, at least dimensions, a way to measure. That's our hopes. So we don't know yet. So we'll work through that in a second, kind of working through. Obviously, that's auto measure. As long as you got your crosshairs over something, it'll just move over. You can see in the background accurates. Pops down, it measures. It's going to tell me this is wrong because I put a work area in there because my height might have changed. So your outside area is going to change. So that's why that's what this warning is for. It will stay there, so just note it. If you do want to go back in here, you can just delete it, preview again, or you can go back in and actually start marking again also. So just going to delete it. Again, anywhere this crosshairs is the upper left-hand corner. Anything I place it shape. I know that is going to place in that upper left-hand corner. It's going to work itself down. I know where to place that on my screen, on my board. That's where, again, having this point is, I love it. It's definitely very beneficial. I do a lot of my tumblers in my S1 just for this reason. And then it kind of leads back to something that I'll show this trick. So back to tumblers real quick. We're gonna throw some numbers in here. Again, I'm sorry I'm gonna hop around. You guys have been on my lives. I do this a lot. People don't, they get used to it. Someday I'll learn not to hop around and have a thing, but this is a cool feature and I got to bring it up. So I'm just throwing numbers in here, guys. So don't take this as anything. So the new feature they have in here is this nice little thing, this play button. What it does is that'll be off. But if you have, say, a shape, let's just throw something in there, an animal, or something in here. Obviously, everything should be rotated to the right. Your chuck should always be to your right. Your motor should be to the back of the machine when you're doing rotary stuff. But this feature here is it's cool. It helps you do stuff. It shows you where your image is going to be in relationship to a cup. Left to right is not always accurate. So don't take that as being where it's going to be left to right. It's more the wrap around is all it's taken consideration. So don't take left to right. That's still wherever you put left to right. But it shows you, and you can actually spin this and go back and forth. So to do a full wrap, it makes doing full wraps a lot easier. So just something to think about, people. It's definitely handy. And this is on the P2, the S1, the P2S, the F1. Pretty sure it's under the F1 Ultra. I mean, F1 and F1 Ultra. So it's, again, number 3 reason why to upgrade to 2.3.24. So, all right. So, we're going to hop down here. We'll go over this stuff here in a second. So device settings real quick. This is obviously, this is for your laser settings. So this is the one thing that will change from laser. So I gotta go through some of them. Obviously you can go in there, change the name. Mine's Frankie. We had to bring him back to life. Thanks to Jacob that's in the thing here. We had to bring Frankie back. He wanted to stay away for a bit, but that's why he's Frankie. Obviously your updates, your firmware updates, your Wi-Fi settings. This is where you have to be connected by USB. Scroll down to Wi-Fi settings and then you can put them in. So that's what that is for. If you go to working, again, these are all going to vary between laser to laser. So every laser is going to have a little bit different stuff. You can export G code, which is more if you want to know more ins and outs about it. Flame alarm. I usually keep mine on low. I've never had it go off. I've never actually had a fire in this one. Stop when moved. If it gets bumped, it'll turn off. If you want to have it remind you every, I think this one doesn't say. I know the P2S, it'll tell you like every 8 hours or so many, it'll remind you to, hey, you got to clean your laser if you want it set up on the P2 or P2S. I know the P2S does it. So fill brightness, that's the light inside. So when it's on, that's how bright it is. Auto air assist, as long as your air assist is on auto in the back. Your cut, this is my recommendations. If you're cutting 4, you're engraving 1 as low as possible when engraving. Exhaust fan, you can turn it off if you don't want it on. You cannot remove the S1 fan without cutting wires. And then I think it gets mad at you, so I wouldn't recommend it. And then how long you want to leave your fan on afterwards. So that's what that is for. I think you can go up to 300 seconds. So buzz reminders, you can turn them off. This was one of the big things that we pushed when we were doing the beta testing because it's annoying. It was definitely very annoying that it beeped every time you push the button, every time it turned on, every time. People like, I want to keep this in my bedroom and my husband's sleeping. And yeah, so it was annoying. So we got him to do that. So this X-axis acceleration, that is what that algorithm that had you told you about downloading. You turn this on, it actually does engrave faster than if you have it off. But it really shucks your machine. So just make sure you have a nice sturdy workbench. Oh, this is gonna scare me. So and then obviously if you want to know how long you've been working on, this is my work time on my S1, 31 hours, 196 times I've operated it, 200 standing times, and which is crazy because that means I left it on for way too long without working on it. So it's one of those things. Then obviously accessory information. I don't have, this is where if you have a P2 AP2, the filtration system, you'll see it here. Show I do have one. It's not hooked to my F1. So that's what this is where you'll find this stuff. So, and then might not show up because it's not attached. So again, if there's any questions, guys, throw them in there. We'll go back and touch them. I'd rather you ask them now, and I'll go back through real quick and look through stuff. If I cover it, then we'll say we covered it. Obviously, I've kind of clicked on this, all your shapes. There's more inside of every single one of these. If you want to generate an AI one, you can go click here. And there's some cool stuff in here, and this changes constantly. So always go back and look, especially during holiday stuff. And there's so many people make stuff out of these holiday ones. They're great for ornaments. Nice, quick, easy ornament. On some Halloween ones, did some night lights actually with some of these things too. So borders, just note that borders take longer to engrave when you put borders on. There's any way you can break them up into like areas instead of doing a full border around something. Highly recommend it. That's how you get away from not having it sit here and do all the way across. It'll do the line, do across top. And there's tricks that we can show you how to break that kind of stuff up also. So that for a second. What else we got? So that's that. That's just a user guide. If you want to go look for some stuff. We're gonna kind of go up to the top here. Anything that's, it will tell you every time a task gets done, any information, anything from xTool will be in this little bell. This icon here is actually one that you'll use, especially if you have multiple lasers. If you minimize your screen while laser is running, this is where the in process is. So the laser is still running in the background. This is where you can go back to it, get back into that processing screen is in here. And obviously it'll tell you all the stuff that you've done over the I don't know how long this goes back to. 1218. So that's what that is for. And then obviously user-defined materials. If you have a setting, I'd recommend using it. Leave it like this because I've learned these are good starting points. Don't rely completely on them, especially in the S1, the P2 series. They're ballparks. The F1's probably the closest one that I've seen that's been accurate. So don't count these as God, just so you guys know. So user settings, it does come with a bunch right off the bat. This is the one thing you do need to be online to use. So if you're at a show or anything like that, you do need to have on a hotspot or something because this is where you get more options. This part goes online. Shows you how to engrave a leaf. So go to filter. Obviously, you're doing laser processing. Obviously, these other ones are for M1 stuff. That's what these other three things are for. If you're in the M1 Ultra, that's what those are for. Pick your type, leather, stone. Obviously, stone's gonna be slate. That's all it is. Leather will give you a few different options. Pick your laser, uh, what wattage it is. So this one's already default for mine because I'm already there. Obviously, it will switch once you already have it selected. Hit apply. We'll go back to it. I'll show you on a different laser, Tracy. So again, it gives you all kinds of different lasers, leathers, and a lot of these will tie over to Lone Star and other companies. As long as it's that kind of that same realm. I know these are all xTools, the leathers. These are all xTool purchased components. So if you see these and you want them, you can buy them from xTool up on their website. Buy them up. They have them. They have some cool stuff. They have some cool acrylics, some glow in the dark stuff. So there's definitely options. Obviously, you click on one of these. Let's go back up here. Let's blog. So brown. It gives you the kind of the base, what laser, base plate, and there's other options, score, engrave. So bitmap engraving, that's if you're doing a PNG, obviously, so it is a little bit different. So engrave. This is what they're suggesting. And again, I'd always say these are suggestions. These are not set in stone. So and then you can open XCS, see those add a material. I've learned that you have to have something on the screen for those things to actually tag, and you have to be in that setting for it to stay. And we can go over that later. But that's how you add other materials. Because I don't have nothing on the screen, it's not going to stay for me. Working itself down. So that's that. Obviously, framing. If you do want to move the machine by itself, you can actually do it here. I mean, I can move, see in the background, I can move forward, I can move back. I don't have to be. I can see where it is on my screen. So speed, framing speed. So if you want it to go slower to see something better, you can slow it down. I think you go down to 80, slow as you can go. And that's just the speed it frames in. So I just use that a lot on my D1, turn it down so I can see better. Same thing with the distance, how far you want to travel. Again, I move everything by hand. It's the nice thing about the S1. I don't have to do it this way. If you do ever have it where it gets stuck down and you need to home it, this is where you home everything. Highly recommend if this does happen, home Z first. It's not going to do it. It's not down. Home Z first and then home XYZ because it will home with it down and it scares you. So just be aware of that. Oh, let's see. Processing. Obviously, we all know what that is. People don't know though. There's these nice little 3 buttons over here. Do give you the auto plan. Doesn't really give you much. So it's giving me only by layer because I'm in the chuck and rotary. So if I hop out of this and go back to base plate and then hop into this, this will give you a user define. So this is where if you want to do it one by one or all together. So why they don't let me do it on a cup. But again, there's some people asking, well, I got to union the whole cup. Why they don't let me do it on a cup, I don't get on a rotary, but it is what it is. So obviously, one by one, it'll print individual, give a feature, a feature, a feature, one by one. If you click all together, it'll print it like it's union together, but it's still separate. And then obviously by layer, this is for all the lasers. We'll go over it. You can actually do it in an order. So most things when you do through XCS, it's going to score, engrave, cut. That's the order it goes in. Default. That's normal what it will do. Score first, engrave, and then cut. If you want to say maybe go back and score engraving after you've engraved, this is where you change this. Or if you want to just score something after you cut it, you go back and do it after the fact with this, and I'll show you how we'll work our way around to that. Got that. Obviously, this is the nice thing about this one. It does tell you exactly where the laser module is at, XYZ. So you can do the math if you want to, it tells me if I'm 8 inches over and this far over. So, I mean, it tells me if you want to pick up center on something. This is, again, why all the lasers don't give you a feed out like this. Make life easier, some things, but that is definitely handy. Obviously, if you lose space, you guys want to write these things down and give you a couple hotkeys that are not on there. If you hold down the control button and roll your mouse, that is your in and out. Obviously, you have all this workspace to work with. You can draw all the way out here. You don't have to be in your workspace. This is all usable drawing area. If you do lose your workspace, this right here, hover over top of it, go back, fit screen. I know that's happened to me a couple times. You can actually lose your workspace. 95% of the time will get you back. Not always. That happen where it doesn't. But no, control that rolls you in and out. Shift will pan you side to side. And if you hold down your space bar, see how it turned to a hand, and now you can click your mouse and drag around. So those are the three that are and that's the same as clicking the hand over here. It's holding the pan button down, but then you don't have to switch it back and forth. Just again, a quick tip. So very handy ones. And then, well, I don't want to do that yet until we throw some on the screen. Let's see, what else we got? What if I want to add artwork inside artwork and give it a space? We're getting there. I like it. We'll work on that. I'm just going to run down through this stuff real quick. Obviously, this is your import image, same as what I showed you guys earlier, or here earlier. Anything it's a JPEG, SVG, DXF, PNG, all those, that's where you click. Bring those all in. That's not for XCS files. That's only for imported stuff. Obviously, text. Anywhere you click, your text shows up. People from older versions used to be always in the middle. Now it doesn't. If you're off of it, you click it, you select it, you double click it again. Now you can edit it until you weld it. Once you weld it, it is not editable anymore. There is a few quirks on the text that I know people have brought up. I'll bring them up to you, and you might be able to see it here. When you bend text, you can see how the H is touching, the O is not. So it doesn't bend it always equally. If there's something you want to pay attention to, just pay attention to it. Same thing if you change it to, say, like well, that's not a good word. So like Brian, the Y is going to say it's set lower, so that's probably why this is actually touching the B and the N are on the same line. It's just little things, and different fonts are going to do different things. If you have to make it so big where it's or tiny where it's spread out, you want to bring that back together a little bit. At the very top, this little icon right here is under more. So you got spacing. This is for up and down. It's the leading. This icon is for spacing of the letters. So to bring it down, I'll bring them closer together. And you can actually type in here. You don't have to do the things. You can go 1.2. You just get it close enough where it looks better. stuff like that. So it's definitely features that people don't pay attention to and know that they're there. Again, just to make things look a little bit better. So snap back, go back straight. Fonts. XTool has their own fonts. You hover over the first one, can arrow key down, and it will go through all of them. So these first, as you can see, xTool selected typeface. This is on no matter what computer you download xTool on, these will always be on every laptop you have. Even I think these are all on the tablets and on your phone. All these will always be on all these. These are line. You can see where it says single line fonts. Some of them are really cool. Again, they're more made for the M1 Ultra, unless you want a single line font. So if I click on, say this one, it does give me this option. A little bigger, you can see it. I'm really close together, so it's squished. Let's change this back to 0. Regular, you want to change it single line. Obviously, there's single line. So there's always a place for some things. I would only score this. Single line files, now that we brought this up, anything that's a single line font, file, anything like that has to be scored, cannot be engraved. If you go to engrave this, if I click this engrave, it'll say it'll engrave. If I go to process, it's going to yell at me because I don't have nothing set. So yeah, sorry, new screen, so it's going to yell at me. Process. It's going to yell at me because I'm at 1%, which is good. It's not going to mess anything. I can hit adjust, but I'm going to ignore it now. But I want to show you what happens. So people say, hey, it's not showing everything. It doesn't show anything. It'll say it takes 6 seconds if there's nothing there. This is why, because we have a set for engrave for a single line font. So that is why you cannot engrave a single line image. And then obviously, once you have it set, something you like, you can weld it. Once you weld it, now it's an SVG file. I can go in there and node edit it, bring it over, make things touch. But no, oh man, I'm going to grab down a rabbit hole. We will touch on that, Catherine, in one moment. Node editing. Again, all the lasers can do this. Once you get it to an SVG file format, you just double click on it, you can node edit. The problem is you can't just take this, can't do this, and if you hold shift, you can move this over. And just doing this, hit done, does not union it together, unfortunately. So that is a downfall on this stuff. So you've actually got to create a splice it together. That's why I would not recommend. That's where it's weird with a node. You can delete stuff with a node editing, but you can't combine things with the node editing. Remember that. That's a good rule. You can take away, but you can't add. You got to add by union. You got to add by unioning it together, which will show you that here in a little bit. We're getting closer to that easy stuff. Start doing some stuff. Like I said, I want to make people to understand how all this stuff works, and then we can go through that stuff. So, obviously, circle. Those are your hotkeys. LRC, line, rectangle, center. Real quick, if you hit C, it changes the crosshairs. You just drag it, it does an ellipse. If you hold shift, it makes a perfect circle. So it'll always be, and that's what this number up here is. It's your width and your height. This is your lock. Right now, if I click this, it always stays in aspect of each other. If I unclick this, I can now distort it any way I want. So, I'm down a rabbit hole here. Same thing with rectangle. Line is useful, and I know people have asked, why can't we pull rulers out from the top or the sides? In my theory, that's what line is really for, because now I can actually take this and this line, and I can align them to the left, and I can tell you exactly where that line is. That's where line I think really comes in as a good feature. Trying to line something up to a specific location. Obviously, I wouldn't draw with it on there. Just delete it. There's all kinds of different features, but so that's that. Obviously, circle. We'll go over some of the other stuff here in a second. Obviously, this is the pen tool. Uh, it's very useful trying to trace something. I take photos and I'll trace something out. I got an example. We'll do this real quick, and I'll show you, Catherine, where the camera is on the Ultra real quick because we're gonna do this. So, camera for the Ultra, right here. Refresh background. And for some reason, and again, I don't know if this is my camera. You can see how it's dark. For some reason, I don't know why my first one comes out dark. I do have it dark over there. I have some lights off. So this might not brighten up because I think I do have it set pretty low for brightness. For some reason, whenever I hit it twice, it brightens up the second time. I don't know why. But something like this, obviously, we don't know what this is. Like I said, it is. Well, hey, this is where I would use the pen tool. I can come in here, kind of trace this out. And all you're doing is getting close because I'll show you how to go back through and that's what this pen tool's a little bit for. There's other uses for it. You double click on one of these, it does an even rotation. There's other options. Maybe because you can do some cool stuff with them on a Ultra. And why I would do this is because there's something that Tracy was asking about doing some cool designs on different things. This is where, yeah, so now I want to make this one square. So you have the options over here. There's 4 different types of node. You click on that, that's square, makes it a square corner. For some reason, again, you can't put a radius. Only thing you can put a radius on is a square box. Again, hopefully that is something else that's going to be coming in the new update. I hope. Put a radius anywhere, but for right now, this is why I always put 2 on both sides of something. So that's still gonna be there, but now I can make this into a radius. Kind of play with it. But and again, you can play with these handles, and you won't want it even. There's ones that are uneven, asymmetrical. You can move one side. You can move them asymmetrical, but still different. There's all kinds of different ways to get things to bend the way you want them to. That's what's nice about this. So say you have this and you want to put a photo on here. So Catherine, I hope this answered your question where the camera was at. So this is where it is. If you can't see it, I'm hoping that I can. Sometimes my thing might be covering it. I don't think it is, but if you can't see this kind of stuff, it might be your display screen. Just to let you know. So, but stuff like this, you can trace stuff out. I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole real fast, guys. I'm sorry. It's how things work with me. But say we've got, these are not going to work good for me. Back to, I had this one set, didn't bring it out. On a PNG file. So these are all JPEG files. So I use this as an example. I don't like that one. I'm not getting those. I want a JPEG. Really. So what happens when you go down a fart, man. See, I'm going down a hole here, guys. Oh, just give me that one. So in this sense, say you want to put this on here. Again, this is where front to back stuff actually goes into play too. So this is a PNG file. I need to send it to the back so I can see my lines I did. So I'm sending it to the back. Now my pen tool image come across. Uh, Again, it's not gonna be the exact where I'd like it. Go a little bit bigger. One of those things. I have an odd shape for what I'm doing in here, but it's like this. Obviously, this is a PNG file. This actually is an SVG file. As long as I have the two of them, you do get this create mask. Creates a mask. Hit done. That's masked off. I can engrave that. It will not engrave the white. It will only engrave the black, just to let you know. So if you want to eliminate the white, you can go in here and eliminate the white by going to adjust. Sorry, not adjust. Under edit. So the magic tool. So this is a magic pen. Anything you trying to remove backgrounds from photos. The fuzziness indicator here, that is for shades, not fuzziness. It's a shade of color. So whatever's in that realm of color, if it doesn't pull too much out, see, I can go in here and I can delete all this white if I want to. I don't have to. Not for this sense, because it's gonna just engrave the black anyways. So it just for more of a looks purposes. Look at that changed. Interesting. Kind of weird why it did that. You guys notice it moved on me when I removed the white. So always try to do your stuff before you do your, and it could be just because of the way that the score was on there. So but that's just hypothetical. This is not what I'm gonna put on this one, but if you want to do something like that, I can engrave this on top of that pistol. But that's where a lot of things with shape. If you're doing something with shape, that's what the pen tool comes in handy. If you're tracing something, cleaning up letters for, I did some cutting boards for a family. See, I'm out of like this. I did a cutting board, and this is where I do a lot of the pen. The pen tool comes in real handy, and even that edit tool. She sent me a photo of their, grandma's recipe. I went in here. You can trace it. You go in there. You clean up the note editor. This is what you get. So stuff like that. That's where the pen tool and all that stuff comes in handy. Because if I go in here and I want to edit this, which is cool because I think it's still back there. If I double click on it, see how it turns it kind of that see through, so I can still see what's back there, what's words, what's not. I can edit that around and clean it up. So this is where that kind of stuff, pen tool, is handy to do stuff like this. Makes it, get as close to possible without it being too out of whack. So again, I like to go down rabbit holes, guys. So sorry. I was way ahead on you. It just kind of tied with some of the questions that were getting asked there. So uh obviously that's your shapes. Applications. This was asked today. Your grid array. As long as you have something selected, grid array, you can move this around. Older versions you couldn't. You are limited to 10 max. Most you can do in a grid. It's 10 by 10. Um, it does go by the square again, the feature square, and then it does union them together. So they are groups right now. Want to separate them, you can. So for some reason, if I turn this is another one that a lot happens. So now I have this odd shape. It sucks because you go try to do this grid array and it spaces it out way farther. The other one real quick so you guys can see this better. And this is what happens when people rotate stuff like this. Unfortunately, the computer says that, hey, this is the size of my box because that's where my corner is. Uh, it will get smaller. There's a couple ways to do it. But if you do a grid around this, unfortunately, it goes to the outside of that box. It doesn't go from center. It doesn't go from the edge. Uh, and you get real big spacings. Even if I took this down to zero, it's still, that's as far as I get. You can't go negative. I don't think I can go negative. No, let's see if it will. Yeah, it doesn't let you go negative. So that's the limit on that kind of stuff. Um, to fix that, and that is my friend, you can do what I normally do. Why it works, I don't know. And I got to answer that question. So circle around your object. This feature here, so this is all your Boolean operations, which we'll go over here in a real quick second, and then we'll go through questions. That's pretty much everything. I'm not gonna really push the AI stuff. If you guys want to dive into AI, I'm not a big AI guy. There's all kinds of stuff to play with on the AI side. Just to let you know. And then the other folder down here, this one here is just design space again. So it's design find. That's all that is. And then we can work on the Boolean operations in this, but this is one. So subtract union at overlap is really a trim tool. It's not necessarily a union tool. So think of that way. Again, a lot of these things work better when it's one-on-one, not a group. Don't quote me on that. They will work on a group. So, uh, but you just select the two, hit this, and then for some reason it goes to the sides, hit the boxes, and now it's where you need to be. Again, why? I don't know. It blows my mind. It's one of those things. It's a nice trick though. Uh, so union stuff real quick. Let's copy these out here. Explain this and layers to you real quick, and then we'll go through questions. So if you right click, again, these are all features. Even though they're all blue, this is where a lot of people get confused, especially if people that are on light burn. Layers are just for design purposes. It will go to the center to the laser if you're doing the process by layer. Obviously, that does help. But 95% of it is for design purposes only, just to get clarification of what's what, what's where. And then you can have the same color, do score, engrave, and cut. They're not designated anything different, just so you know what they're for. You right click on a feature, you do have another quick list, a lot of things you want to do, and export move to. Move to is your layers. You have 9 layers, 8 layers. So move these all to different layers. So now I got 3 different colors, 3 different shapes. I utilize engrave. Even though I'm not going to engrave these, this is the best thing that I like to explain people to. XCS is like, it's all layered. It's layered stuff. So obviously you can see the green layers on the very back side. Everything's got depth. Everything is a solid in XCS. So if you want to union something, extrude something, stuff like that, say you want to union these two, the green and the red together. I mean, I can union all of them, select them all, click union right here. They're all one piece. It's always going to default back to score. And it's going, when you union something, when you do a Boolean operation, it always takes your power back to 1 and your speed back to 80. So make sure you reset your stuff. Not the greatest shape, but hey. That's a union. Whatever's on top of each other, it's going to union together. So now if I wanted to go in here and change my grade. So if I want to cut out the square out of the circle, square needs to be on top of the circle. It's the way it has to be, and I'll show you why if you don't. So as long as these are like this, I hit subtract, it'll cut out. It's like a cookie cutter, guys. This is how again, the best way I like to explain this. It's what the top, whatever's on top has to go through the bottom. So if we are the other way, it will throw an error at you. So if I take this, send to the back, they're both there, and I can do this while they're not engraved. You can have them as score. Obviously, I don't know which one's on front, which one's on top, which one's on back right now. So I selected them both. I hit subtract and say, hey, this is not supported. I can't do this. It doesn't tell you why. It just says it can't do it. That's why. So same thing with, and that's where 95% of the time I like using subtracted overlap. So as long as it is overlapped of some sort, which is this icon, it'll do it because it doesn't matter. Now that one goes both directions. So now this is again back to that shape, So that's where, why I just want to cut out this from the corner of this, subtract, they'll give me that arc. So as long as it's sitting on top of it, that is the best way to explain how to get things to go both directions. Now, if you have something that's sitting outside of a circle, another feature that I really highly recommend, it's not talked about a lot, is outline. But I like to use outline at 0. And it used to be the old trace command. So if you have an SVG and you want to trace it, this is how you trace it. So you can turn that off if you don't want anything on the inside. Obviously, there's nothing on the inside, so it doesn't matter. What I also recommend is changing the color right off the bat because it's still selected. So this is another feature. So now that you can see, I have two features identically in the exact same spot. There's one of these I'm going to use and it's going to disappear. So that's why I like to make, an extra one. So I'll say shapes, we're just doing something funny. Not saying this is what it is, just example. Trees hanging outside. I want to trim the outside of that tree away. So that's where, and again, you can go back here and select from this area also in the tree. And this is where another use for that overlap. And this is why I call it the trim tool. And it's going to probably prove me wrong because it likes to do that when I'm doing these lives, but it didn't today. Sweet. So it trims that out. So that's how that kind of stuff works. And again, I'm hoping I'm touching bases on people's questions and all that stuff. I haven't seen a lot of questions rolling in, but I will go back through and look stuff up here in a second. That's a lot of stuff. Again, that covers all the lasers. I do want to show you one thing. So these are all a PNG. I had a guy get a hold of me today. They was trying to do a cup. If you select this, it gives you, then this is any photo. So PNG, a regular photo, a JPEG, this is what it'll give you. If you want to go in here, and I've done this, especially with PNGs like these, I'll go to trace. It traces really, really well. Everything's nice and easy. Hit save. And now, because right now, if I click on this, it does this. It only gives me engrave. Whenever you get something that only does engrave, this is why, because it's giving you just just that feature. It's just a PNG. It's just a picture file. That's why all it can do. It can't cut. It can't do anything like that. So this now gives me everything. It gives me score, cut, engrave, and also right now it's grouped. If you can ungroup it, I can go in here and I can delete the kneecaps. This is kind of one of those things. Everything's separate right now. So it's all broken up. Now, if I want to make it a complete, I hit this make a compound vector is what it's called. So now that makes it complete. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I want to go in there. I forgot I didn't erase that kneecap. You can either go in here and just do edit compound, or you can release it. It releases everything. When you have it engraved, it looks like this. So it scares you. I can do it. So don't be scared when that is, because all it does is it gives every layer, but you don't see the layers. Go over here to the layers. Show you what this is. I mean, it gives you every single individual, and you can cycle through if you can't find what you're looking for. But I can go in here and delete this one back out. select it again, pick compound vector. Now go back. It is one image, one feature, like we talked about earlier. So it's kind of where the edit compound release, and this works for any SVG file you bring in, any PNG file you bring in. You can release it. And this is where people like, again, coming from Lightburn, they'll say, hey, you got to group it, ungroup it, blow it up, explain it, whatever. That's what this version is. So it lets you do all kinds of really cool things, edit things a lot easier. So, and then again, we're going to go back. These are all PNG files. Gentleman had an issue with a cup. You select them all. Again, hit outline, uncheck the innards because we want the insides, and just hit 0 again. Confirm. I actually didn't want the innards on this one. I lied. Select them all. No, I don't. I didn't hit 0 enough, did I? 0. 0 shouldn't matter. Interesting. I just did. I do want everything at 0. So now it created all these SVGs and it grouped them together. So this is a one SVG file. So now, hey, I want to go in there and release this, and go release these, make compound. So again, this is where you have a PNG file and you want to change, and that's all you have, and you want to edit it. This is how you edit it. So that's one of those things. Again, I think it's a very handy tool. Again, you can do all kinds of different things with this. So it's that P2. Have over P2 real quick. Just want to explain one thing with the camera. Two things actually. Process on slats is a thickness. When you do slats removed or honeycomb, you're doing a thickness. Yeah, we'll get your picture in picture. Still didn't explain that to me. I kind of thought I did just to explain that to you. But just let you know that there is a difference. So be careful when you're on a honeycomb and you don't switch it. You could get a difference in your dimensions. So, and then the slat removed is what used to be called the open plane. So if you want to put something in the bottom of your tray with all your slats removed, that's what it's for. It's to use. And again, you have a certain relationship depth that you can go. I don't remember what numbers off the top of my head, so just be careful with that. But just do the measurement. If you have an issue with your measurement reacting, bright lights over your P2 will react, especially if you're doing tumblers, because it's doing the auto measure. It will react to that. So if you're having issues with that kind of stuff, that's how you fix that. And then one other thing I wanted to show you too with like the P2 camera real quick. See, I really don't like quick measure. I really wish it wasn't there because it's getting exceeded every time. Because it only picks a point right here. So you have nothing there. It's going to fail every time. So say I'm on this, and this might not. Got so many holes in it, it might not grab either. It's not that thick. It's that thick. So what I wanted to show you is obviously the camera shows it, looks great. I want to place something. I want to add some initials right here, like TR or something. You have to make sure you zoom in and use the close-up camera. Do not do this and then go and engrave this and expect it to be in the right spot. Because when I go in here and I use the close-up camera, which is here, so whatever it does now, yeah, either refresh background or close-up camera. Wherever you put this is the close-up camera. It's closer than I thought it was going to be. Thinner, the thinner it is, the more you can get away with it. I placed it pretty well, actually. Uh, but this is why I put this Lions thing in here, because if I'm actually on top of this, thicker it is, the farther out you go, the worse it gets. So it's probably going to auto right there. And I just wanted to show you guys that that's what the difference is. That's where you got to be careful and do this close-up camera. And yes, it sucks, because you can see this is the top of the edge. This is the actual edge. That's the difference I was trying to show you guys. There's a big difference. And that's where, like, in the thicker your wood, thicker material, farther out you get on a P2, even on an F1, it's the same thing. P2, P2S, F1. You're all going to have the same issues. So I think that's elaborate. So, and obviously, if you want to get rid of this, you right click, delete close up view. Obviously, it's gone. You see when I change thickness here, this moved also. So that's another thing you got to make sure too, is your thickness is set right, or your stuff is not going to show up in the right spot. I've seen way too many people complain about their cameras not being right. Thickness, this is critical to what you're doing. So just make sure that's what it needs to be. All right. And then again, if you're on a P2, F1, Ultra, P2S, you want to get rid of the camera view, you right click, hide band. You can hide the camera view. Uh, do this one more thing. You have something that's black. I know a lot of people do tumblers on P2s, P2S. You go into the settings for this, go to device settings. There is a background brightness increase. You turn that on and then refresh your background. This will brighten everything up, but kind of do it. So you can see where the stuff that's white. So if you have a board sitting in here, it really will actually just show you the background and see how this is still see the hash marks and squares. And then here you can still see. So just be careful. If you throw a sheet of wood on there and this is on, it'll look like your background and your camera's not working. This is why. So okay, Tracy, we're gonna get to yours here in a second. Karen, are you talking more like layers as in lake layers, or as in I don't have my 3D skull. I have a 3D skull that I made. You know, like, you talking more like that. So if you can explain, elaborate on that. Layers we could do, lakes are pretty easy. I mean, that's probably another whole live I could do on that. So like 3D. That is probably going to be a software that's not XCS. I'm not gonna lie. If you're doing something that's more of a 3D, I mean, if you're talking, so like in the P2 or the F1, okay, like lakes. So like lakes, what I normally do is you just get a lake map, a depth map. It shows you each lake. It is a little tedious to do it yourself. Obviously, if you can find the file, it's good. But that's where doing the pen tool is kind of what I do. That's where I like it now. I mean, you just trace a lake map. You'll have each layer will have its already square. You know, try to keep this in a certain location. Do each one, have them on there. Use your colors. That's why I limit my layers to 8 layers, 8 to 9 layers. So, but that's kind of the gist. So this would be one color. Then you do another depth of map, do another depth, do another depth. And again, it's just trying to find that map that's going to tell you exactly what depth is what, and playing with it. And then again, you can go in here and obviously tweak it as much as you want, straighten them out. you double click them, that does even. You do, all these other ones will do different things. You can do one side more than the other. So there's all kinds of different things you can do that with. Again, that's another one. I could really do a whole live on that probably by itself. So, all right, Tracy, we're gonna hit you up now. See if I got you in the rights. And I got two questions that were on the group that I want to touch base because there's stuff inside of settings even too. Like I said, I can go for, I'm gonna probably go for another half hour. So I hope you all want to hang out for a little bit longer. Photo inside of a photo. Because I know what people have issues with is that when you bring a photo in, I'm gonna try to find an actual photo. Oh. So, Tracy, you're gonna have to explain your thing because again, I've done the flag inside of a flag. We can do that. No, a photo inside of a photo. Because I know people have had issues where they want to bring something in, but it engraves over like their words they write on. We can fix that. I know you're good on making your app. I showed you how to do that already. So I guess the picture in picture, I guess that's because again, it's the same thing as, are we talking masking? Because again, I'm trying to find something I want to bring in that's going to, let's do, let's see, photos. Another one where I was kind of playing with some stuff, trying to clean it up. It's not the button I wanted. It really, so again, maybe I have to hit you up on this one, Tracy, because the biggest thing that's why I think I sent you in the message was, are you talking to SVG, PNG, or two PNG files? That's what I need to know because there's different ways to do stuff. Because you can take a PNG like I showed earlier and do the trace. It's kind of how I did the mask on the gun. So like this, that's doing a mask, and you can do the same thing. You just do it in a little bit of reverse order. Um, but if your flag is an SVG, that's why I need to know more on your question. So, um, see if I lost my notes. Weird. Well, it's because I'm sharing. Let's see if I can get my notes to come up. Where's my notes? No notes. That stinks. I mean, I have a SVG of a flag. Look at Messenger. Which Messenger? Facebook Messenger? Facebook, I see it. So those two SVG files. So it's just be doing a subtracted overlap. But you can just outline it. Because I mean, even on a PNG file, so let me bring in my flag file. Let's not do it in the ultra low. Let's do it in P2. Back out. Let's go. Oh, All right, so my military flags. I don't have a nice pretty ship like yours, but uh but to me from that image you're showing me, but is it's gonna be an SVG and an SVG. And even that I still can do with a photo too if you need to. So lost my bear with me guys. So yes, we have flags and the flags. So something like this. Um, and again, I'm just gonna quick and dirty this. And this is where I'm saying like where PNG doesn't really help too much on something like this. Or do a node edit. This is where I tell people get something close. I'm just gonna add these boxes in here to make this go all the way across. This stuff is not true, not accurate. All I gotta do is get close, and this is where the node edit comes into play. And these don't even have to be, I can have gaps. So I gotta step down there and I'll show you why. So I think that's all of them. So now I got all these done. Just select everything. Missed one. Missed one. So we got those done. Hit union, union. And it does change it back to this. Now, if I just want to go in here, you can see I'm off. And again, this is where the node edit. All I gotta do is go in here and just delete these. Now I'm straight. I'm straight. So I'm saying, so don't, oh, I went too far. Don't take some of the stuff as being you have to be perfect. It's really, you're just going and cleaning these nodes up. All these are straight now. Straighter than they were originally. So all straight. And I guess we'll do this in two different examples. Obviously, if I have a file in here, this is an SVG file. I'm gonna engrave it. That's my flag. I'll bring this one over. I want to do just the outside of this. Again, this is an SVG. Tracy for talking. I'm back to my other tab. Bear with me, guys. Back to a different screen. I closed it on accident. Could have lose. I should send this tab. So again, I'm gonna show you both ways. I'm gonna show you with an SVG file and a PNG file. So obviously this is with an SVG file. Again, it's the same way. So it is grouped right now. I'm a big adamant. Make sure stuff is either union together or ungrouped. I'd ungroup this. But all I want is the outside. I'm gonna outline it. Let's go 125. Confirm that. Obviously, this is going to be, see if it proves me wrong. Should be on top. Should just do subtract. It'll subtract it out. Now, again, this is an SVG with with an SVG. Uh, Say we want to do just a photo. So we'll bring a photo in. Again, this is a PNG file. I mean, it could be a person, whatever you want to do with it. If you have and this works in the masking. Oh, my kid's mad at me. I told him he can't be online until I get done. So, I need a different photo. Here's my son as an example. Photo of my kid. So say, hey, I want to just do a regular photo of somebody. I'm gonna actually do a nice quick edit on him. To erase. Again, this is gonna be down and dirty, guys, so don't quote me on my erase job. I see you're killing me. Because you can still outline a PNG file too. Want to make it bigger, obviously. So make it bigger. Cover more spots. I'm just doing this because I want to show you the shape. That's why I just didn't want it square. So one of those things. Save. Say, hey, you want to do this. Again, it's the same thing, man. You just outline. They'll outline a PNG file. It'll outline a photo. Again, I'll go for the 2.5, a little bit bigger in this one. Obviously, there's a flyer right there. Gotta hit enter. There's a flyer on there. Fix that after the fact. Don't want that big. XCS does not like, you can't type in point, blah, blah, blah. You gotta type in 0 point something. That's why I went to one on me. Confirm. And this is where EndNote comes into play too. I can double click on this. It's probably really high in Ed. It's the only problem with some of the stuff. You get really high nodes. And there's a feature in here that will let you do. And I just like to sit here and I delete, 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 delete. Just because I can't get in there close to that. So there's a simplify. You gotta be careful when you use the simplify button, just because it will change the shape of your, like show you. And this one might not be too bad because it's already kind of a generic. If you click on simplify, if you're looking for something that's really nice and sharp sides, be careful when you click simplify, you'll lose the sharp edges. So like this, obviously it works out halfway decent. It went from 1600 to 36 nodes. So done. Again, it's the same option. Again, we're just select. You cannot be unioned, cannot be grouped. Sorry, don't be grouped. I don't want to say unioned. That's all you gotta do. Subtract. Cut out. Again, unless I'm misunderstanding you, and again, you got my number, buddy. Talk to me. I gotta find one things and my notes are gone. My notes are under a different one. I can't get to them. Let's go back. See if anybody's got any questions that I missed. Again, you guys can start throwing them in there. I know some people kind of were helping me out. I'm hoping you guys have gotten some good information out of me. I love doing these things, but you always wonder if what you're sending people is what they're looking for. So B2S, I got my conveyor system in, so that's why you see my conveyor in there. And I'm just gonna go back. Got anything in there? Again, this is kind of why I did this. I wanted to make sure people that had their, got their lasers for Christmas had a good starting point. Sucks getting a, expensive ass toy and not being able to play with it. So Karen, if you want to, touch base with me, you can find me on the YouTube pages or on the either message me in YouTube and we can talk about the layers or find me on Facebook in the groups. That is one of the things I know people have asked about. Doing photos on granite, black business cards, slate. Here, I'm gonna show you one. I mean, oh, you guys really can't see it. Here, I'm gonna stop sharing so I can show this one. I mean, again, it all goes down to your image because I wasn't sharing. Stop sharing. Stop sharing. Camera view. Mm. Yeah, it's heard. Sorry, guys. What is going on? I'm stuck. You guys can still see my screen. I don't know if I'm moving. Looks like I froze. My kids are gonna kick me. Oh, I'm gonna beat my kids. I think I froze out, guys. I'm really sorry. All right, let's see if this will stop now. It's not letting me stop. Stop. You can see if what's going on here. Got screen stuck. I close this one. Close this one. Oh shoot. See, I keep moving, but I got my gray thing on the bottom of my screen. It's not letting me change. So again, guys, I mean, if you're in there and you let me know. I'm trying to figure out if things are working. I don't know if you guys can still hear me. It's telling me I'm actually a little on the slow side. My kids are turds. Tooled, have I done it? I haven't. I have seen it done. Uh, it won't even let me refresh. It's the weird thing. Let's see if this will let me refresh. Oh, what is it doing? My Zoom that's messed up. It's, you guys can still see me, but I can't change my screen. I need to figure out. I'm glad you can hear me. I need to give me like 1 second. I'm gonna mute myself. I think. I don't know if I can even mute myself. I'll be right back. All right. Can't be mad at my kids. Long internet. No, you try to update internet to make things work better. They don't want to. Well, let's have a good connection. For some reason I can't get this to. I'm going to try something real quick. That down, shut that down. Don't want to shut my Zoom down. That's what's stuck. Well, shoot, guys. Gotta love technology. Sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. You guys can stick with me. I'm gonna try to hop off and hop back on real quick. A little technical difficulty. Problem is, I think it's gonna end my live if I do. Just not letting me share the screen, so I don't know. It's not letting me change my stuff. So I guess for right now, guys, I will have to sign off in this live if I can. It just sucks. I can't do nothing. It's locking me out. Can't share my screen. It's stuck on the screen and